Greetings and welcome to the Hillcrest Wine Club. Our tasting notes for the November shipment. Very excited about some of the wines we have. We have a couple of new concept wine. We have the very first kind of ultra premium Spanish red that we've done. We'll talk about that in just a second. But before we get into the wine club tasting notes, we are once again, it's a kind of become a custom and a Hillcrest favorite, is our Thanksgiving meal special, our 3 wines that we put together. And these are wines that we will serve Thanksgiving. And they're wines that Thanksgiving dinner table is actually the most challenging meal probably there is to serve wines with. You have a lot of different flavors and textures, everything from things that are very kind of rich in that, such as maybe turkey with gravy and that, to cranberry sauce and that. And so there's certain wines that have beautiful, beautiful acidity, super powerful flavors, intense, that really stand up at the table and are fun to share with family and friends. And so this Thanksgiving special is going to be 3 bottles. The very first sect that we've produced is what's called Natur. So Brut is a level of sweetness in sparkling wine, as is extra dry. If no sweet dosage is added to the wine when the final bottling is done, or corking of the wine, that's what's called Natur, and it's very, very unusual. Susan and I had the opportunity to select one that is just super, super beautiful. Next is a super favorite of ours, which is the 2020 vintage of Bravy, Domaine Bravy from Regnie in Beaujolais. That is a spectacular vintage from a wine some of you might be familiar with, but it's super rich, round, beautiful acidity. It's a wine for everyone, those that drink wine and those that don't drink wine. It's kind of a crowd favorite. And then to finish up with, for people that are a little more serious about wine, we have the Jordi 2013 vintage, which is a legendary, beautiful, beautiful wine that was our wine out of barrel, put together by our dear friend Jordi, that we make the Poboleda in that with. And that's a great segue to this shipment. So this shipment, we're going to start off with the white is the Petit Blanc. So that's the Chardonnay with a little bit of Pinot Blanc to it to kind of brighten, freshen it. Something that I was exposed to in Hungary when I was traveling with Gabor Palatai, but very yeasty, kind of creamy, a wine with beautiful, beautiful kind of depth, but very elegant. So it's very much like what we say French country white. And then what we're going to move to start tasting is Hayden Road is a wine that we've produced in the past, and we've done kind of a rework of the focus of that wine as well as the package that you'll see. And it pays honor to some of the pioneers of Umpqua Valley in terms of growing wine grapes, and others that before us came up from Napa Valley to produce fine wine here. The Hayden Road is a Malbec, 100% Malbec. We'll talk about that just in a second stylistically. And then to finish up with our very first old vine Carignan out of Priorat, that's the old vine is a little over 100 years old. So it's a selection of something we used to blend into the Poboleda. This is just a couple of barrels that are bottled separately. Super, super beautiful. But anyway, Heydon Road is where the Dorners first settled here in Umpqua Valley. And in the past, Heydon Road was from the Heydon Road vineyards. As we have kind of become more established and figured out the direction we want to go, we've really kind of doubled down on Malbec. And we have a fantastic history with Malbec, with Richard being the first one to plant in modern times. Malbec going back to 1961, first production 1964. Recently, we've been recognized for Malbec by Forbes magazine. Oregon Wine Board used it to present to over 200 wine writers here recently, one of our Malbecs. But this is the 17 vintage off of property west of Sutherland that is about 15 years old, which is really just getting into kind of the sweet spot for Malbec. 100% Malbec, and we'll take her for a spin. Very old world smell. So we oftentimes talk about fruitiness and you get like plum and these kind of sweeter smells. This is like cassis, which is a very kind of dark fruit, a little bit blackberry, but not so high toned, a little bit of like a green kind of leafy, like sweet character, like elderberry almost on the nose, with a little bit of like a smoke from wood, and super, super beautiful. We say wine has architecture, wine has shape to it. A lot of modern wines kind of hit the palate and blow sideways, and they're a little bit short. This wine like many of our wines, kind of channels, and I taste the flavors and I get the weight, but the weight is kind of in the middle. Very fine tannins, but very, very long. I still taste a lot of fruit, which is great. One of the signs of great quality fruit turned into fine wine or translated is that you get this incredible length from the very first thing you taste, which is fruit, until you get into the wood in the back end. Very long and persistent. But Hayden Road is going to be something that allows us to kind of take some of the different vineyard blocks or properties that we have and do slightly different styles than Hillcrest. To finish up with, Poboleda. You're all familiar with Poboleda. That is a Carignan-based wine, this very, very classic variety that was consumed by nobility of Europe for hundreds of years, with a little bit of Grenache and some other things. This is pretty much standalone. It's got a little bit of Syrah that we use to kind of just blend it at the end, but this is all over 100-year-old Carignan. And Carignan is this kind of meaty, minerally. It has fruit, but fruit is kind of like a base layer that is the foundation of something, but it's not the dominant smell. It's much more kind of complex. A lot of New World wines tend to rely a lot on fruitiness, which is beautiful. The Old World, historically, a wine that was really fruity was nice to drink and considered kind of simple, but you wanted wines that were very kind of earthy and had these other smells and flavors and complexity. So we'll see what this delivers. I drink this wine quite often, so I know, but anyway, I'll share it with you. Beautiful kind of like a meatiness almost to it, very kind of broad. As I smell it, it's kind of like really dense and kind of rich coming up at the nose. A little bit of like a balsam. There's like a real light kind of sweet wood character to it. A little plumminess and a little bit of like a lead pencil. That's that graphite kind of cedar cigar box kind of smell that's very classic in southwestern France. This is kind of just across the border from that. So. This wine is very, very different than the Heydon Road Malbec. A lot of density that we would expect from really old vines, super low yields, fills the palate up. I feel the tannins in that coming on a little bit. It's interesting, Carignan can have aggressive tannins at times. These are very kind of sweet and very, very round. And when you look at tannins, tannins is like sandpaper. They have coarse sandpaper and fine sandpaper. This has almost like the texture of when you peel an orange and you get that white rind. Very fine, very kind of mealy. Very complex wine, something that's meant to be, paid attention to. There's some wines you drink and you talk about other things, and there are other wines that you drink and it forces you to look at the wine and talk about the wine. So anyway, a wide range of flavors. In finishing up, with the shipment, if you're interested in the Thanksgiving pack, let us know. It's $99 for the 3 bottles, so that's discounted for you some. And then the other thing is that we have had the Anonymous as a case special, and it's usually $38 a bottle. We discounted it by the case down to about $20. That is getting ready to come off of the case special. If you'd like to round out your shipment with bottles of Anonymous to build a case or fill out a case, let us know, and we will honor that price. And here in about another 2 or 3 weeks, Anonymous will go away, and we don't know when it will be a case special again. It took us 20 plus years to this point, but we'll roll into the next case special. So this is kind of last chance if you really love that wine, which I know many of you do, to take advantage of that. So anyway, we very much appreciate your support, our family. We do what we love, and it's because of you. So cheers into the Genie in the bottle.